Welcome to the Founder Fumbles podcast, where we go deep into real-life entrepreneur struggles and comeback strategies. I'm your host, Dahmari, and today we have Ross. Today's episode is sponsored by Charged One Payments, helping business owners cut or even eliminate monthly processing fees with zero-fee dual pricing or competitive interchange plus options. If you're tired of losing money every time somebody taps, swipes, or pays online, Charged One offers free smart POS terminals, transparent pricing, no contracts, next day funding, and real US-based live support. Most businesses save $500 to $3,000 a month just by switching over. Get an instant quote today or a free statement analysis at charged1.com, or you can call 888-954-7526 for zero commitment consultation. Charged One Payments, keep more of what you earn. Let's get back to the show. So just so everybody knows, Ross is the founder and CEO of RideToo, a former VP of transportation at MotiveCare, and now he's providing high quality customer-based transportation solutions.
That's right.
That sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Whew, so what's been going on, man? How you been?
I came here. I was downtown earlier today at RTD's celebration of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Mm-hmm. So this past Saturday was the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I learned a lot. I don't think people know this, but Denver was the seat of a lot of the activism that led to the ADA. There was a group of folks called the Gang of 19, people who use wheelchairs, that put their bodies on the line and laid down in the street to block. It was on Colfax and Broadway.
Was that here?
That was here.
I saw that,
yeah.
Actually. Yeah, I didn't know that was here.
It was on NPR earlier this week. They kind of told the story, but that was here.
Yeah, but it was like, how many years ago was that?
This was 78.
78. Okay, yep. I did see like videos and stuff of that. So yeah. That's pretty dope. So how did we meet again? We met at the Access Mode
That's
event. Right. What event was that? That was
I don't know. When I decided to launch this company, I started looking at all the different startup events. Mm-hmm. I do remember it was like a snowy, slushy day, mm-hmm. way out on the west side or the east side somewhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was cool to meet you.
And I was supposed to connect you with a co-founder.
That's right.
Yeah. And you found a co-founder.
I did.
And you found him on the Colorado startup group event.
The Slack channel.
The Slack channel.
Yeah.
So what was that? What was that conversation like?
It was interesting. I met him initially. His name's Steve Como. He's a fractional CFO. So he works with other startups. And initially I thought, I know you're going to ask me later about complementary skills. And one of my weaknesses is all things financial. Just the discipline around it.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for somebody with that skill set to complement mine. And initially, I was going to bring him on as a fractional CFO, but he heard another podcast that I was on where I talked about my motivation for starting this business, and he was like, "Hey, what if I was a co-founder?" So he met my wife. We've been getting to know him, and it made sense. At my company, so we provide rides to people with disabilities who travel with their wheelchair, folks who cannot get out of their wheelchair.
Right.
And it's a hard business. It's hard to find drivers for this kind of work.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're doing is creating a driver-centered culture. And I think one of the best ways to do that is for me to be a driver, for my co-founder to be a driver. And so every leader of the company starts in the driver's seat. Nobody's above driving.
Right.
So the last 2 weeks I've been training Steve on driving, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what else is he doing other than the financial? So he's also driving.
Yeah, we started with the driving before we got into any of the financial stuff. Right. So he and I went through the profit and loss statement yesterday, actually, and we've got leasing arrangements that we're making for some vehicles we're buying. He's going to take the lead on that. He's going to handle all the insurance, typical CFO stuff.
Yeah. Sounds like you found the perfect person.
I think he's a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. LinkedIn, you and I are connected on LinkedIn, played a role in it too. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I post about my journey. Folks can find my LinkedIn profile and the RideToo page on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But being able to tell my story there sort of, I think, helped show the purpose of the work.
Yeah.
And I think that really resonated with him. I had a number of other folks that reached out on LinkedIn to talk about the founder role.
Right.
I had made a post there. And so I'd say between, things like this, doing podcasts and just talking about the business, talking about the purpose behind the business, and then using social media has been the key.
Right. So what made you decide to venture off onto the business side of things? Because first you were a VP of transportation, right?
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go into business and just leave your job?
Yeah. So the work we were doing, MotiveCare is the largest medical transportation broker in the country. They do 40 million rides a year. And my job was to partner with large strategic companies that would allow us to access a network of drivers all across the country. Obviously, Uber and Lyft are a part of that.
Right.
And once we had all of the sort of algorithms fine-tuned, it was a really good solution. But as you know, Uber doesn't have a bunch of wheelchair-accessible vans.
Right.
And the business model isn't scalable for wheelchair transportation. So I left last summer. I didn't leave for this reason, to start this business. My wife was starting a business.
Right.
She's a low-water landscape designer. And so I left to help her start that. And once she was up and running, it was my turn.
Right.
And I wanted to create the company that I wished I could have contracted when I was at MotiveCare. The goal is to build this to a national platform. Right now I'm in the prototyping phase.
Okay.
All startups need to go through it.
Right.
The prototype is essentially a single territory. And I'm making the shape with my hands because it's really a defined geographic area. And within that geographic area, we're serving all sorts of wheelchair accessible transportation needs. So RTD is part of that. We want to get contracts with RTD, our local transit agency, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans, private pay, just individuals that need to get rides and have the resources to be able to finance it themselves.
Right.
I believe that we can build a scalable model that's based on these territories, and those territories can then be replicated. So right now we're building the first territory in South Denver. So basically like Colfax to Highlands Ranch, out to Aurora, up to the mountains. I think that's the ideal territory. We'll see.
Yeah.
If that works, we'll do North Denver next. If those are working, we'll try somewhere outside of Colorado.
Yeah.
Once we've got 3 and those are pretty sustainable, I think we can then kind of follow in a business model, kind of like a fast food chain, like a franchise type of an approach.
Right.
Where we look for entrepreneurs in other cities that share our vision, share our commitment to quality, and want to follow a template, want to follow the process. They're looking for that playbook. So that's the plan.
So what made you get into transportation?
Interesting.
This is it's a different, skill. I mean, it's a different area to work in,
Yeah.
Did you go to school for it or just?
Kind of.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Salt Lake City, and I was dating a girl, and she was an activist. She was an environmental activist.
Right.
And she took me one day on what was called a critical mass bike ride. So you get a whole bunch of people together, and you ride your bikes and you block the streets, and that's kind of how you get your message out there. And she was my girlfriend, so I was just like, I'll do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But the purpose of the protest was the Utah Department of Transportation was building a new highway along the Great Salt Lake. And so I started learning all about this, and the reason they didn't think that was a good idea is that the Great Salt Lake is this oasis in the middle of the desert where migratory birds stop on their way to Canada. And
wait, what? Who stops on their way to Canada?
Migratory birds.
Migratory birds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, birds that are flying from South America to North America.
Okay.
As the seasons change.
Yeah.
They've got to stop somewhere. And the Great Salt Lake is a really good spot to stop, right?
Right.
But if you build a big freeway in their, habitat, maybe that's not a good idea.
Right.
So I started learning more about that. And what really interested me was the planning part of it. That there's a reason they're building a road there.
Right.
The population is growing. I started learning about urban planning. And I started learning about, who decides where the houses go and how are those decisions made, because that affects where the roads get built.
Right.
So I got a degree in urban planning. I became an urban planner. I was very interested in transportation and kind of went deep into it. I got an internship at the Utah Transit Authority.
Right.
And then one day I got an opportunity to go work. My job was in the department building light rail. There's a lot of light rail here in Denver.
Right.
We were building a lot of light rail back then. But I got an opportunity to go work in the paratransit department for a week. Paratransit is for seniors and people with disabilities. They're wheelchair accessible vehicles. And the contrast, when I was upstairs doing the light rail stuff, I was working on things that wouldn't see the light of day for 10 years. We were doing permitting documents that maybe the thing you're working on happens, maybe it doesn't.
Right.
Downstairs in paratransit, we were helping people today. We were making a difference in people's lives right then. And that feeling of like, oh, my work helps other people was deeply motivating to me. And so I shifted and I started focusing more on paratransit, on senior transportation, on transportation for people with disabilities. And I was hooked at I was like maybe 25, 26 at the time. I felt like I had found my purpose. I felt like, okay, this is the industry that I want to be in.
Right.
And then from there, I've just been kind of following this thread of purpose, of trying to solve problems. And I come from an entrepreneurial family. And so, I've started multiple businesses down this path. RideToo is my current, most recent business. But everything I've done in my career has been focused on how do you improve mobility for people who don't drive? How do you expand mobility options for people who don't drive? And a lot of it comes down to you need to make it more affordable. The stuff's really expensive. And you need to make it a good experience.
Right.
If people have a bad experience, if they have to sit on hold for 2 or 3 hours just to get a ride, they're not going to use it.
So I saw on your website that you provide the highest industry standards.
Yeah.
How do you guarantee that?
What we mean when we say that is that there's over 60 different federal and state programs that pay for rides for people with disabilities and for seniors. And each one of those different programs has different standards. So when we say we train our drivers to the highest standard, we look across those programs and we say, okay, well, what does this particular program require? And if this other program requires a higher standard, we're going to train everybody to the highest standard across these programs.
Nice.
So then we can go to our community partners and say, we can accept funding from all of these buckets.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's super dope. Is it just other than like your partner that you have, do you have any other partners that you're working with? Because I know he can't do everything. Is it just you two? Or?
It's just us right now. I've got a posting on my website for a drive. I'm hiring 6 drivers. So the next role we're filling are drivers. We've got 3 more vans that are being delivered in about 4 weeks. So the clock's ticking. Like we've got to get these drivers in the door, get them trained. And I have a whole roadmap. By the time we're done, we're going to have just under 50 employees. Most of those are drivers, but there's other roles we're hiring for.
What's those extra roles? What's the executive roles?
For a business of that size, there's not really many executive roles.
There's not a need for that many executives.
And that's part of how we keep the overhead low, is you don't have a ton, it's not top heavy. So fleet management, there's a role for managing that fleet. Crew management, there's a role for leading that crew of drivers. Dispatching, There's a couple of roles for making sure that we're communicating with our drivers.
Right.
That role is the glue that holds everything together. One of my recent LinkedIn posts is about how surprised I am that my competitors don't invest more into communication. And I hope I'm not giving it away, but I mean, I think that's the secret sauce. Is it's logistics, right?
Communication between the people working for the company.
No. So when you're doing, this is what I was going to say, it's logistics. You're out on the street, there could be an accident in front of you, and now your van is delayed 30 minutes. You've got a passenger in there that needs to get to their treatment. Or maybe you're supposed to pick somebody up from dialysis, and if they have to wait, they're preventing the next person from being able to get treatment. You know, it starts to become really complicated really fast. And what I have found is that it can be stressful, but as long as you're communicating, as long as everybody in that chain understands, okay, there's a delay.
It's not your fault, but you're doing the best that you can.
You got it.
You know, let them know that, sorry, you might have to get in touch with your doctor or something like that. Like, as long as they know, because if they're basically in the car and they're waiting, or if they're waiting on the bus to come, then they heart start beating, they start getting nervous and all of that. But no, I can see how communication could change everything. Yeah.
And those dispatchers are the heart of it. They're the connective tissue that communicates with the driver, communicates with the customer, communicates with the hospital.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what do you think? Oh, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, before I hire for any of those roles, I'm going to do them. So now that I've hired Steve, he's doing the rides, so I can train these drivers. Once those drivers are on board, I step into the dispatcher seat, and I'm excited for it. I'm going to do that role for 3-4 months before I hire somebody for it, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
So when do you plan on stepping out? Are you just going to be hands-on for the whole time you're doing this, or?
Yeah, this isn't like a venture capital backed startup.
Yeah.
This is a pretty scrappy business.
So you got to get your hands dirty.
You got to get your hands dirty. I enjoy it. I actually, like I said, when I was at UTA and I got closer to the customer and I found all that satisfaction, I'm feeling that again. It's been over 20 years since then, but I'm back in that sort of literally next to the customer. Sometimes my passengers drive in the passenger seat or ride in the passenger seat.
And it's crazy.
And I love it.
Have a conversation with you, and they're like, what's your position? Are you just a driver? And you can tell them, no, I'm the CEO of the company. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The CEO is driving the bus.
But it's really cool because people react when they step into our van. They're like, wow, this is clean. Wow, this is new.
And it makes you happy every single time.
You're wearing a uniform. Like, this is a legit operation. That makes me really proud. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, and to have you doing it, it means a lot. And, when it comes from a top person, you probably provide like the best service like that could ever be provided from anyone else in your company.
I think that's true. I think founders, you're a business owner too, like you have a certain amount of pride in the work.
Yeah.
But I think this is the challenge that I need to solve, is that if I can't train my drivers to have the same level of care, then I don't know that that it's a scalable business.
Yeah.
So a lot of my focus right now is recruitment, getting the right people in the door, folks that really care about the purpose of the work.
Right. And
then having a simple and scalable way to train them in the way that we do business.
So other than the training, what are you doing to keep like your drivers happy?
Yeah, interesting. Keep in mind, I don't have any yet. So this is it's me and it's Steve.
Gotcha.
So you'll have to ask Steve that. I think he's a happy guy. He retired from IBM and he wanted to be part of a team. He wanted to build something. And so for Steve, he wants to be part of a startup. So I'm giving him opportunities to get his hands dirty. That keeps him happy. What I think drivers want are sustainable wages. I think they want some basic benefits. I think I'm trying to recruit from folks who are currently driving for Uber and maybe maybe they'd like more out of their employment.
Right.
I'm also looking for folks like Steve, folks that are maybe early retirement, that maybe they don't necessarily need the cash. Mm-hmm. What they need is purpose and meaning. So I think there's a wide range of potential driver types. Mm-hmm. And so there's not one particular way that I think we can keep them happy. But the goal is, I think happy drivers lead to happy passengers.
Yep.
And so we're trying to elevate the driver role. By driving myself, by having Steve drive, we're really making that role the center of the business. Mm-hmm. We want drivers to feel like we're all here for you. Mm-hmm. We're here to support you in your role and make you successful.
Yeah.
That's the theory, and now we're about to test it. I'll have 6 new drivers in September, and so check back in with me, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, so you're doing good setting the standards, I'm pretty sure.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. I was just about to ask you something. Dang, I had a good question. So that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, cool.
Your business, your skills, what skills do you feel like you could improve?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what skills do you lack? What skills do you feel like you could improve?
Yeah, interesting. I have attention deficit disorder. I was diagnosed when I was I think it was first grade. Mm-hmm. I've had it my whole life. I have a hard time being super organized in things that are boring. Mm. If it doesn't bore me, not a problem.
Right.
But if it's boring, I really struggle with it. And you know what really bores me?
Financials.
All things related to, and it's like...
Is that answer that question, right?
Yeah. Building a pro forma, I find that I actually enjoy that. I love the forecasting. I love working with financial models. Mm-hmm. But assembling a list of last month's expenses, entering it into the computer, and then making sure that everything is reconciled, I hate that.
I hate that too, man. I wish I could find somebody to do that for me, but people want a lot of money to do that too.
Yeah.
You got really blessed finding a CFO like this early.
Yeah.
That probably help you take things to the next level fast.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you see that. I think Steve's an awesome guy. I'm sure at some point he'll watch this, and I can't tell you how happy I am that he joined the team.
So, if you could bring on the next, would you ever consider bringing on a marketing person?
Interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to keep my overhead low. Mm-hmm. Because we want to be an affordable service. The people who use our services need it to be affordable. I do stuff like this, mm-hmm. partly as a way to sort of have earned recognition.
Right.
This is the 3rd podcast I've done in the last 3 weeks.
Nice. How many podcast episodes have you been on?
This is the 3rd.
This is the 3rd?
Total,
What
yeah.
You said this week. Total.
Total, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're just getting started.
Gotcha.
The marketing we're going to do right now is really focused on drivers and recruiting drivers. So if I can see that there's an ROI in having somebody help me with that, then I would definitely invest in it.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to kind of take it one step at a time. We've posted the job we use Gusto as our HR system. And so we've got the job posted there, and then they propagate it out to different platforms for us.
That's dope.
And then I can spend money to boost the ads. I've also got it on LinkedIn. I've got it on Nextdoor. Mm-hmm. And so I'll start putting a little bit of money into advertising, see where it goes.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't need to start advertising for my customers, mm-hmm. because my business is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. I don't get revenue from 1,000 different customers. I get revenue from 4 different customers who bring me 1,000 different passengers. My customers it's a B2B model. Mm-hmm. I work with insurance companies and companies like MotiveCare, where I used to work. They're a broker. They get the ride requests coming in from their customers, which are usually insurance companies. And then they farm them out to companies like mine. And so my job is to keep them happy and I don't have to do a lot of marketing to do that. It's more of a B2B model where there's a small number of buyers, and it's about the relationship.
Wow, that's brilliant. So that's sounds like a great model.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some founder fumbles.
Okay. This is the part I was afraid of.
Yeah. So let's hear about some low moments that you had. Like, when is you where you felt like you were down in the hole, and how did you climb back out? Tell me about your lowest moment. Let's do that.
I'm going to start with not my lowest. I'll get to my lowest because it was really low, and it's hard for me to talk about.
Right.
But so I had set a goal with RideToo to be live on April 15th. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I picked that day. In hindsight, I shouldn't have picked tax day. Mm-hmm. That actually has nothing to do with the failure that happened, but we didn't have all of our ducks in a row. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's not true. So the day before we were going live, I was crossing my T's and dotting my I's, going through all my insurance policies to make sure we had everything dialed in. Mm-hmm. And I found an error in my insurance. Mm. And I had to basically just pause the go live. Mm. The reality was I didn't actually have rides booked on the 15th. I had not done the work that I had needed to do to get rides booked for that day. Mm-hmm. And so on two levels, I felt like a failure. I felt like, man, I should have been looking at this insurance 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I should have been reaching out to my partners to make sure that we had rides lined up. Mm-hmm. And it bummed me out. Mm. It was like, I should have seen this. I should have known.
Right.
I should have, right? Mm-hmm. So I beat myself up about it for about 2 weeks. And then a friend of mine posted something on LinkedIn, kind of just an inspirational message. His name's Phil Wilkins. He's a good guy. And it made me realize, like, you know what? We all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And just dust yourself off.
You gotta keep pushing.
Just keep going. Yeah. Like, it's going to be fine. Just push the date back. Get the right insurance, and keep going.
It doesn't change a thing, right? You just got to keep going. That's it.
So that was the small one. You want to hear about the big one?
Please tell me about the big one.
So the big one was when I had to lay off 250 people.
For RideToo?
No.
Oh yeah, because I'm sorry.
This was 2 roles ago.
2 roles ago. Okay.
So before I was at MotiveCare, I had a different startup that was in the medical transportation business.
Right.
And it's a super long story. I can't tell it all here. Mm-hmm. But there was a moment, this was the lowest low. There was a moment so we knew that we were on the cusp of insolvency, mm-hmm. right? Like, looking at our financials, we knew that we were very close to being technically insolvent, which I found out about the week before my wife went in for spinal surgery. Mm. She had a rare tumor in her spinal cord. The surgeon that we got to do the operation has done it 30 times before. Mm-hmm. The next most experienced surgeon has done it like 3 times. Mm. So somehow we lucked into having a great surgeon, but it gives you an idea of how rare her condition was. Yeah. And the chances during surgery of her being paralyzed were significantly higher than 0. Mm. So the lowest low was sitting in the neurointensive care unit right after her surgery, dealing with trying to prevent our company from being insolvent, while also watching my wife, she was recovering, but she was at her lowest low. I was at my lowest low. We worked really hard that summer. We prevented insolvency. At no point did we have to declare bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. But we weren't able to manage the business well enough to get out of it, and we had to hand back some of our contracts. And there was a point where we could fight, and we could probably save the business, but that probably was like 25%. Mm. Or we could sort of wrap it up, in a dignified way. And that's the choice that I made, was I'm not going to fight for this.
Let it go.
I'm going to let it go. And the day that I had to notify the team, it was almost a year after that. But yeah, that was the day that I had to let 250 people know, I can't keep being your employer. We wound it down. We were able to hand our contracts back and have a transition plan for everything. This was like 2 weeks before the pandemic. So I was able to kind of slip into unemployment and pretend like it wasn't my fault, but it was. And it took me about 6 months. I'm really grateful. Strangely, that period of being at home with my family.
That's what I was about to say. It probably really worked out for you.
It was kind of therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like we all just hunkered down and we ate beans and rice and we kept our expenses low. And in Oregon, they weren't paying unemployment checks. It took like 6 months to finally get an unemployment check. So it was rough.
Right.
But what happened after about 6 months, folks had seen some of the good stuff that we had done. So at that company, we had reduced wheelchair accidents by 60%.
Really?
That's a big improvement.
Yeah.
We had reduced cost by 30%. So
Wow.
we had improved quality, we had reduced cost.
Yeah.
And so people in the industry noticed that, and I started getting calls, and I got a call from my former employer, and they hired me as a consultant. And they said, we liked what you were doing there, come help us. And so I think, like, I don't think I'm done learning at all. I think I have a ton more to learn. But what I learned from that failure is that the good work stands out. You remember the negative stuff, and you kind of, like, I was beating myself up quite a bit. But other people see the good stuff.
Right.
And that's what lasts in their memory. I think there's like a bias, like individuals think more about the negative stuff. And what I realized is like the people around me felt pretty good about a lot of the good stuff we were doing. So, you know, it took a while to recover. It took a while to build my self-esteem back up. And I'm really grateful for MotiveCare for, you know, bringing me on and giving me the opportunity. That's what brought me here to Colorado. I moved here for the job. And now I feel like I've got that fire in my belly again. And so the way I'm approaching RideToo is informed by all of that. All of that really challenging kind of tuition. That's what I think of it as I was paying tuition. I was learning. That's all in the bank now. Like I've got that behind me. And part of the way I think about it is like if you're rock climbing, you're constantly making decisions about risk. And sometimes you don't know which risks to take if you haven't taken them before. And you need to make a judgment call. And so as an entrepreneur who's been right against the edge and looked into the abyss, I know where that edge is now. I know the contours of that edge, and I know where to step without falling off. And I'm really quite pleased as I look back that I got that experience.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, man. Like, I feel like you needed that experience actually to get to the next level. You know what I mean? Because without that happening, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. You wouldn't have RideToo. You wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't even, I wouldn't say you wouldn't care, but right now you're providing the highest industry standards. You know what I mean? And you got that experience and you're here now. So I think that was great that you went through that experience. But, you know, sometimes when we're going through that stuff, we can't even, it's hard to see the blessing, you know, because it hurts so bad on the inside.
Oh yeah,
you know what
I mean? I didn't see anything positive in the moment.
It's hard. So what did you do to like keep your head in the game? Like, you know, because I know waking up every day was tough. You know, did you like start going to the gym? Did you start cooking?
I did start running during the pandemic.
Okay.
And it does help for sure.
Yeah.
I am not doing it as much as I like to,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to lose 15 pounds.
Right.
It's hard. What I would say to other founders is like, don't beat yourself up about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Running helps.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the natural sources of dopamine.
Yeah.
Eating well, like all that stuff helps for sure.
Yeah.
But just be like, love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up.
Right.
Yeah, there's enough of like this negative voice, I think, in a lot of our heads to go around. Don't make it worse by feeling like, oh, I'm not doing enough of these,
Right.
habits and behaviors that I'm seeing all of these other founders talk about on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that stuff's fake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being real. Like I think that people just need to love themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's very true. Like, yeah, because if you don't love yourself, then you can't make other people happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make to that next stage in life if you're just drained in negativity. You gotta feel positive. You gotta train yourself. Sometimes you even gotta research it and look it up. Like, how can I get out of this funk? You know what I mean? But
I think surrounding yourself with people too.
yeah,
Um,
getting out, surrounding yourself around happy people, right?
well, I think about kind of what I was going through. It might have been different if I wasn't surrounded by my family at that point. Mm-hmm. But my kids were home from school. We were all shut in. And it turned into a really therapeutic period of sort of rebuilding. Mm-hmm. Like, we all had to pull together and support each other in that moment. And honestly, if it were a different period, like if they were all at school and my wife was maybe not at home and I was by myself,
it would have been a lot worse.
I don't know that I would have come out of it in the same way.
Yeah, COVID was a blessing for a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
Even myself, it's just like I came home to visit my mom during COVID. I was living in China.
Okay.
Came home to visit my mom during COVID, and I got stuck there. I wasn't able to get back to China.
That's right. Yeah, there were some limitations on that.
Yeah, as soon as I arrived in the United States, they closed all the flights.
Right.
This was the first time this happened since I've been born.
Yeah.
So I was separated from my wife around this time. So
she was back in China.
She was back in China. She wasn't my wife yet, but she was in China, and I was stuck in the United States. And we were separated for almost 2 years.
Oh man.
It was super tough. I was so stressed out, man. And and even I was building my company, and everyone who was building my company, all my developers got laid off while my mobile app was being built.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
Oh my gosh, that was one of the worst situations.
Was this your lowest low?
Oh man, my lowest low. That was one of my lowest lows. Yeah, that was one of my lowest lows. I think my lowest low was when I had a server crash. My server crashed. I was basically it was during Christmas time. I remember I got an email from freaking Namecheap, this punk. I was about to say this punk A company, but this I don't mess with this company anymore. But I got an email from them on the 23rd of December. And I was traveling to my mom's house, to be with the family for Christmas. And this email said, please update your email address on file because we see that your credit card changed or your something changed.
Oh, no.
I just needed to update my address on file. So I got to Nashville. I'm last minute shopping. So I was just busy for those 3 days.
Yeah.
I got there the 23rd. I was busy. The Christmas Eve and Christmas, I was busy. I got back to my email on the 26th, and I went to click the button to update my address, and it was like, sorry, your server has been erased. It's been deleted, deactivated. Well, I can't remember what they said, but they basically wiped my whole application. And I tried to go to the app, my app wouldn't open, the website wouldn't open. Everything was wiped clean. It was like my whole business was wiped. So luckily I had a backup from like 3 months before that, but the backup didn't have any profile pictures. It didn't have any voice notes. A lot of things that I paid thousands of dollars to get fixed. It was just all the new features were
Gone. You lost 3 months.
And then I was also advertising a pitch competition on my application, and all the pitches that
Oh no!
just
So all of
posted,
your user stuff was
all
gone
of the
too.
marketing, all of the last 3 months of stuff I was doing was just wiped.
Dang.
My heart was so hurt.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then not only that, all of the automatic payments, people that's been paying for for months, and all the people who were subscribed, they got wiped too. So I had to start back at zero revenue, basically zero customers, zero feed on the application, content and stuff. It was just so bad.
Dang.
But that was my lowest, I appreciate you asking me that too.
Yeah.
Because nobody asked, what was your lowest moment? Nobody ever asked me that question. So
all right.
I definitely appreciate
Well, I think we all have them.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't really, I don't think you can be in the founder space and honestly not have some low spots.
Yeah, because entrepreneurship is hard. It's just, I believe it's one of the hardest things in the world to do. If not the hardest, but I don't have any kids yet or anything, so I can't say anything about that. But what was the biggest lesson you learned? As from being a founder.
This is what I was alluding to before. Like, I don't know that I've learned all the big lessons yet. Mm-hmm. My industry is a little bit different than other industries because you have this mix of both purpose and profit motivations. Mm. So it's a for-profit business. All of my businesses have been for-profit, mm-hmm. but they're also for-purpose businesses.
Right.
I'm trying to solve a problem. I'm trying to address mobility for people that don't drive. And one of the things I found early was that you have to be more intentional and really define what you mean by purpose. Mm. And I'll explain it this way. People that work at companies whose sole purpose is profit, it's not hard for them to explain why they exist. Mm-hmm. And nobody questions anybody's motives. If the sole purpose is profit, that's really easy for everybody to understand. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, get behind. Mm-hmm. And if you're not interested in that, you can work at a nonprofit or work for a government agency. But when you blend the two, weird things happen. And it messes with trust. Your core team members, maybe some folks are there more for the purpose than they are for the profit. And they might question the motives of somebody who might be there more for the profit than the purpose. And I think social entrepreneurial work is kind of a new area that I think there's a kind of a movement to use business to achieve other objectives. The businesses are a good mechanism to organize people and capital to go accomplish things. But sometimes the thing that you want to accomplish isn't purely about making money.
Right.
And so with RideToo, I'm being much more intentional about how I explain the purpose of the business to my employees.
Where did you learn that from? Where did you get that? You just from your own growth, or
that's what I learned when I reflected on what went wrong. During that really dark period, and I realized, wow, we failed. We weren't able to get the business back up. We had to hand these contracts back. Where did I go wrong? I believe that had I been able to lead my leadership team in a more effective way, we could have come through that period. And when I look back on, well, why couldn't I lead that team in the way that I wanted to? They didn't trust each other. At the end of the day, I had core team members who did not trust each other. And so it's a lot to get into in a short podcast. But I think trust was fundamental to our failure, or lack of trust was fundamental to our failure. And I attribute it to that kind of that sort of multiple objective of trying to make money and pursue a purpose, and the different motivations among the team that can kind of come into play in that sort of a scenario. Mm. So with RideToo, it's much more explicit.
Yeah. I was going to say, what are you doing to build that trust, to keep that trust now these days?
It's how I communicate our purpose, and I make it more tangible. Mm. So we have a scholarship program that we'll be announcing soon that pays for drivers to get their EMT licenses.
Beautiful. Love that.
And I want to partner with local emergency management services on an evacuation registry. Wow. So that people with mobility devices who need to get evacuated during like a fire or a flood can opt in, and our equipment can then be used by EMS services to help with an evacuation.
Nice.
And so it takes some of the ambiguity out. Like we're literally defining in our corporate documents how the money flows to fund those programs, so that it's really black and white. That here's how we make profit, and here's how much profit we can make. And when we make more than that, the money flows to these purposes.
Right.
And so I think by just delineating it and having more tangible representations of our purpose, there's less gray area, there's less room for interpretation, and it's explicit.
Right.
And I hope that will create a more transparent way for people to engage in how they think about a social enterprise, a for-profit that also cares about purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. But one thing, just hearing you say all of this stuff, I don't want to forget to ask this question. Do you have like a mentor? Somebody
I have a lot of people.
Yeah, okay.
I have a lot of people. Too many to name. I don't know that I have the permission to name all of them.
Okay.
But there's people in the industry that have inspired me, that I've modeled my business after. There are people in my life who have given me advice, and I didn't understand what they meant at first. Right. And as I've listened to them and I've reflected on what I heard them tell me, 5-6 years later, I'm like, oh, now I know what they meant. Stuff like that.
Yeah. So what advice would you give new entrepreneurs that's starting a new company these days?
I've already given it. Love yourself.
Yep. I heard you say it earlier, but I was like,
we're all humans.
Yeah.
We're all imperfect people. We're all fallible.
Yeah.
And I think you need to love yourself, and I think you need to give yourself some grace. And I think that's what the advice I would give.
Absolutely love that. Yeah. So I think that was one of my last questions. But do you have anything new coming up? You did mention something earlier, but what else new do you have coming
up? We're laser focused on hiring drivers.
Hiring drivers.
That's the new thing.
Yeah.
I posted the ads last weekend. That's my focus. We want to hire 6 drivers by September 1st.
Dope.
Yeah.
So people that's looking for you, people that want to be a driver, and people that want to partner with you, people that want to reach out for anything, where can they find you, and how would you want them to contact you?
Yeah. Our website is ridetoo.us. That's RIDETOO, just like on my hat and my shirt, .us. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Find my profile. It's C. Ross Peterson. You can search for me. You'll find me. And we have a company page on LinkedIn as well. And from there you can branch out. But those are kind of the main places where I'm at these days.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming to this podcast, Ross. This was great. This is one of my favorite podcasts.
Cool.
Man. You kept it real. You told us about your 2 lowest moments. Told us I now understand your business a whole lot more. How your industry operates. Kind of. I learned so much, man.
Great.
So I'm just very grateful to have you today, and I appreciate you.
Thanks, Dahmari.
Yeah.
good luck with your move and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you everybody for watching this episode of Founder Fumbles. If Ross inspired you anyway, anyhow, please reach out to him. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I hear it really helps. Thank you everybody, and I'll see you next time. Peace.